the logging was the easiest example because you kind of don't really need to do any testing. With the register, you will need to do several tests. So we'll first begin with transforming the code we have for the logging and make it a bit more appropriate for the register. So the first thing I will do is, now everything is put inside the global workspace. What I'll do is create a function called register, and I put everything we had over here inside that function. Now, the reason I want to do that is because if you're using functions, it's easy to create output and stop the function when something goes wrong. This is harder to do if you put everything in one big um, workspace. So instead of like here, we already had this if and then an else. Um, I'll show you in next exercise how ugly it actually can get. So to avoid that, I will, oh, I don't need this anymore. I will actually try to use a bit cleaner code. Okay, the next thing is the form is over here. I'm gonna put it in the else, so I'll have also the accolades for the else, right? And I put the form over here. And then instead of having echoes, I'll actually want return. Return over here, return over there, return over there, and then we can just echo over here, return register. So this is just making the code a little bit cleaner. Everything should still be the same. I just quickly test it. Test and test should say that it's a correct logging. Okay, everything is still okay. So one of the first things you can do even with the login is to test if a login or password are not empty. So what you can do is say something like, okay, if log, so you could actually use the function empty, or you could test if login is equal to or equal is doubles, right? You could also have done this, right? But I'm using empty now, okay? Or empty password 1. If that's the case, well, return in input can't be empty. That's a simple test. Let's try it. Oh, parse error at line 13. Yes. Syntax highlight is so great. Input can't be empty. Right? Even if chooses 1, no, can't be empty. That's the first test. Now let's move on to the register. So what's changes in the register? First of all, you need to retype your password, right? You don't want to incidentally make a mistake. So we're gonna have a password 2. So if you have it in the input, of course we're gonna have it in the output 2. Well, in the return, not really output. And I'm gonna call it now password 2. Make sure that the name over here is also password 2. Okay, and I'm create a new test, being that the password needs to be the same, right? Needs to be the same as password 2. If that's not the case, again, you stop the function and you say passwords are not the same. Yep, that's it. Back to the test. So now you have to retype password. So I'll do something like this. That's clearly not the same, right? And it says, oh yeah, of course, because my first test is not okay. So something long over here, something very short over here. And then it should say, oh, It says wrong. Yes, because I test if the passwords are the same. It should be not the same, so it should be like this, right? Remember that explanation mark is not, so this is not equal, right? Blah, blah, blah. Something long, something short. Come on. Ah, I didn't save? How stupid. Something long, something short. Passwords are not the same. You see, everyone can make mistakes. Even stupid mistakes. Okay, so we checked that the passwords are not the same. We made sure that there is input. What else can go wrong? Well, there can already be a login with that name, right? So let's keep this part. Let's say select star from, but not test the password because we don't really know the other person's password. But we're just gonna test if there's this login, right? Because if there is this login, so now I need to see instead of correct login and password, we know that the login exists and this needs to be an error. Let's say login is already used. There you go. Yeah, I could create some useful HTML to make it really look nice. Should I do that? Well, I'll do that. Wait a minute. First of all, I want to say like so until this, we've tested everything, and in the other case, we're gonna say to do create user, right? So this is just to make sure that we've passed all the tests. What was the last test? The last test was there was already a user. Let's say tip. Oh, create user. That's not good. It should have checked the login. Ah, sorry. Test exists. Logging is already used. You see? So and user was not a login, so you could actually use it. Okay, those are all the tests. Oh, I noticed another thing. You could actually, for example, have made a small mistake, like didn't put a single quote over here, and if you save it, it would probably do. Let's see, test. So I made him. Oh, yeah, right. I need to have that the same now, and it gives you an error, right? What's this error? It says MySQL number row supplies arguments not valid. Now, if you read this, you would think that there's a problem with your MySQL numbers of row. So you would start keep looking at this part, while your mistake is actually over here. We deleted that single quote. So we could actually create another test. So I'll undo that, right? That's a single quote I deleted. So we could actually do another test. Let's say that if this is not correct, so let's say not correct, right? And I'll just call it return for now. Return, right? So what I'll do is I'll try to grasp what the MySQL query is. I assign it this time, so it's not checking if it's equal, it's assigning. I assign it, and if it gives an error, so then this will be not true, so the assigning will not be correct. I need actually to return the MySQL error, which is a function that already was used in DB Basic, right? Oh. Okay, so let's make the error again, save, and let's reload. Test. See, you have an error in your SQL, checks the version near test. So now you actually get your message. You could have also added some more information like got SQL error hop, and then I append, so now it's just a dot, append the mistake, and then it says got SQL error, and then you get this, right? You could also, of course, make your error a little bit more readable. Let's say font is equal to core. I think this should work. And if not, I need to check my syntax. Yes, right. Okay, so I can actually put that everywhere. If there's a mistake, hop. Need to close the font. Oh, I didn't close the font. I just created a new font. Hop. Now it's not a problem because this is the only output, but if there's more output, it would everything would start being red, which is not what we want, right? Okay. So if there's a mistake, it will show in red. So let's see. As new user with a very stupid password, and then it says, oh, got an SQL error. Oh yeah, of course. I made that SQL mistake, but I didn't change it yet. Okay, so done. Single quote has to be there. Okay, reload. To do create user. So now we are at the place we did a lot of tests. And now we're at this place where we can actually start inserting the user. So what you best do is you go back to your SQL and you insert the user manual. Let's say user 2. Just, oh no, that doesn't need to be assigned. That's going to be assigned by itself. And password test, why not? The password needs to be with the function password, and I push go. And then you get the syntax, right? You insert into. Well, there's a lot of more information than you actually need, so I'll adapt this a little bit for you to make a cleaner version. So the SQL will be SQL is going to be equal to insert into, that's okay. You just need users, you don't need all the extra, so it's always in these tables, so database, so I don't need that, and I don't need those line quotes because I'm never going to use white spaces, right? Just don't use white spaces. Insert into hop users. What you then need to do is tell what you're going to add. In our case, we're going to add the login and the password. Don't forget the comma here. The comma is important. Everything pink is important. Everything in purple is important. And the green you can adapt a little bit. You don't need all the other things because they are all null, 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 and you can make them null anyway, so we don't need them. The only thing we need more now is the values part here, you see? Value, hop, open the brackets, and then you need something as user2 and password. And then you need to close it. Yep. Okay, so that's our new syntax. Again, what you need to be careful. There's a single quote over here I didn't take, and you always need the single quotes here. You see, it gives me a different shade of green. I hope your syntax highlights will do the same because it's important that you see if you make a mistake. Okay, so again, like in previous exercise, we need to change this and this to, of course, this needs to be the login and test needs to be, you see that password 1 is equal to password 2, so it doesn't really matter which one you take. Password 1. There you go. So that's our SQL. That's our SQL. The next thing to do is just run it, which is identically to this. Hop, there you go. And then I can create a small message. Inserted new user, let's say login. There you go. Okay, let's try this. So what you see now is there's Mixel, Blah, Yobro, Test, and User2, which I just added. So I'll add a new one. Call it with a very stupid password. I log in. New user. Okay. Notice that the count now is bigger. Probably if I reload again, it should jump to 6. You see? And if I go over here, at the moment I didn't push refresh, so your database, the table just shows the old version. So this is again something you can easily mistake. You need to refresh your browser. In this case I just clicked on browser, and then you see over here that there's a new user with this password and a new user ID which is added by itself. And this is going to be useful. Like you see over here, the first user and the 6th user already has some profile information. That's what we do in next exercise.